So, for almost a year, there was one name you just couldn't escape in the news about the war in Ukraine: Bakhmut. It turned into the longest, the bloodiest battle we've seen this century. But here's the thing: the whole battle was a giant puzzle, a real paradox. And that's what we're going to dig into right now.
Just look at this. On one side, you've got a city of 80,000 people. I mean, this place was known for its beautiful tree-lined streets, its sparkling wine. And then you look at the other side, just 1 year later. It's a smoldering wasteland. Schools, homes, theaters, everything just gone, reduced to dust. It's no wonder soldiers on both sides started calling it the meat grinder.
And here's where the paradox really kicks in. You had top military experts, guys like the US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, basically saying, hey, this city, it's not really that important, you know? It wasn't some major supply hub or a piece of high ground that was going to change the whole war. So that's the big question, right? If the city wasn't some crucial military prize, why on earth did both Russia and Ukraine pour tens of thousands of lives and just unbelievable amounts of resources into it? To figure that out, we've got to first understand how they fought for it.
All right, so before we get into the why, let's just take a moment to understand the sheer brutality of what was happening on the ground. This wasn't a battle of clever tactics or grand maneuvers. No, this was something way more primal.
The whole area around Bakhmut was just shredded. It looked like the surface of the moon, nothing but trenches and craters. Soldiers talked about nonstop artillery duels day in and day out, and these grinding infantry fights where you weren't measuring progress in miles or even kilometers. We're talking about meters, literally fighting for a single destroyed building. And the main attacking force for the Russians, the Wagner group, they used this terrifyingly simple tactic: the human wave attack. It's exactly what it sounds like. They just threw wave after wave of soldiers, a lot of them recruited convicts, right at the Ukrainian lines. The Ukrainian defenders even called them human bait, because that's what they were, sent out there to draw fire, to give away where the defenders were hiding.
And Wagner's whole method was just brutally simple. Step 1, a drone spots a target. Step 2, artillery just hammers it. Step 3, send in the convict assault troops. But it's step 4 that's really key: punitive discipline. What does that mean? It means for those guys attacking, retreating without an order often meant being executed right there on the spot.
And the cost of this? It's just staggering. The US estimated that Russian forces suffered over 100,000 casualties for this one city. I mean, just let that number sink in. It's a scale of loss that's almost impossible to really wrap your head around. So who was on the other side, holding the line? Well, interviews with the Ukrainian soldiers showed they weren't all hardened career military guys. Not at all. They were teachers, cops, artists, even chaplains. Just ordinary people who picked up a rifle to defend their country from this absolute onslaught. Okay, so we've seen how unbelievably brutal this was. Now, let's start to unravel that puzzle. First up, why was Russia so completely obsessed with taking this one city? Well, way back in the spring of 2022, the Russian plan actually made a lot of military sense. See, Bakhmut was supposed to be a stepping stone for a much bigger move. The idea was to push down from the north, from a city called Izium, and push up from the south, through Bakhmut, and basically trap a massive chunk of the Ukrainian army in the middle. And this right here shows you exactly what happened. The map on the left, that's the plan in April, that big pincer movement we talked about. But then look at the map on the right. By September, Ukraine launched this incredible counteroffensive. They took back Izium and that whole northern area, and just like that, poof, the strategic reason for taking Bakhmut was gone. That big encirclement, it just wasn't possible anymore.
And this is the absolute key to understanding Russia's side of it. The military logic was dead, but the political need for a win was bigger than ever. The Kremlin had just suffered these humiliating defeats, right? They desperately needed something to show for it. And for the boss of Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, taking Bakhmut became this personal obsession, a way to prove that his guys were better than the regular Russian army. And when I say they were willing to pay any price, I mean it. An analysis of Wagner's own finances showed they spent something like $1.2 billion just on payments for their troops during this fight. Think about that. A colossal amount of money for a city that at this point was really just a symbolic prize. Okay, so that explains the Russian obsession. But what about the other half of the paradox? Why did Ukraine fight so hard to defend a city that they themselves admitted wasn't super critical strategically?
Well, let's flip the script and look at their side of it. This quote from a Ukrainian commander on the ground, it says it all. For Ukraine, defending Bakhmut wasn't really about the city itself. It was about destroying the army that was attacking them. They saw Russia's obsession as a massive opportunity. So Ukraine's strategy was all about attrition. It was cold and it was calculated. They decided to turn Bakhmut into a vortex, a black hole, to just suck in Russia's best attacking units, especially Wagner. Their goals were super clear. 1, inflict as many casualties as possible. 2, keep those Russian forces pinned down so they couldn't attack anywhere else. And 3, and this is so important, buy themselves time to train and equip new soldiers for a future counterattack. So think about it. While on the map it looked like Ukraine was slowly losing the city, they were actually winning on a strategic level. One major think tank even called it a strategically sound decision. It was a brutal trade-off. They were willing to give up the rubble of a city in exchange for crippling Russia's ability to attack anywhere else. So what you have are these two totally opposite strategies crashing into each other. You've got Russia desperate for a symbolic win, no matter the cost, and you've got Ukraine fighting this incredibly brutal but very calculated defensive fight. So, who really won? Well, when you lay it all out, the picture gets pretty clear. Did Russia capture the ruins of the city? Yes. That's a tactical win. But look at what Ukraine got. They absolutely bled the Wagner Group dry. They stopped Russia's entire winter offensive cold, and they seized the strategic initiative in the war. And this map right here, it tells the whole story. This is the situation the day after Russia planted their flag and declared victory. You can see it clear as day. Ukrainian forces were already counterattacking and gaining ground on the flanks, north and south of the city. They were already starting to encircle the so-called victors. Russia took the bait, and Ukraine was already starting to close the trap. The fallout from this was seismic, just huge. All those insane losses, the ammo shortages that Prigozhin was screaming about on video, all of that directly led to his mutiny against Russia's military leadership. Get this, just 1 month after winning Bakhmut, a furious, battered Wagner Group turned its guns around and started marching on Moscow. In the end, I think President Zelensky put it best. The actual physical city was just gone, wiped off the map. All that was left was a symbol. But for Ukraine, it became a symbol of something powerful, a costly, brutal, but ultimately successful act of strategic defiance. And so the whole paradox of Bakhmut really leaves us with this one big question. It forces you to think, what does victory even mean in modern war, when the prize you win is literally just a pile of ashes? When the real victory isn't about capturing a city, but about who is left with the ability to keep fighting?